And with this end of the song, I'll welcome you all to Cockpit Real Racing. And with here, let's immediately jump into this calendar, as we're gonna have to look how it looks so far. And of course, here we are. We are around Singapore tonight, 6th of March, round 18 of Cockpit Real Racing. It is incredible that we've got this far, season 6 as well. And in the background you can already see the standings. It's getting ever so close. So ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this amazing race tonight. And before we jump into the action, let me run you down how the team standings and driver standings look so far. So starting with the driver standings, it is Chris Sniper after an amazing win last time on the Baku, leading off the championship battle. As far as jump, was about 5 points behind last race down. Had to retire due to an incident which cost him a lot of points, staying on front in 5 points. Staying in P2 incredibly well. Hernando couldn't do much either. And Chris Sniper running away with those points gained in that round. And then running down, Pierre Francesco in the second McLaren. Didn't show up last time around. A few drivers didn't show up last time in Baku, which was quite unfortunate. Of course, many points there to be grabbed, but we had the first podium in Baku. It was no assist who took the first podium in his career in this league, which was amazing. Chris Sniper congratulating him as well in the post interviews. It was amazing. It was just a wholesome and beautiful time for the drivers to be there. And ever so down, we had also a lot of other girls who saw 14th in the standings, who had a good start to the race, but had with a mishap of incidents in the race, had lost lots of other points. But the drivers who did finish gained an amazing amount of points. We have more in the standings behind as well. We have also from 16th to 30th a few reserve drivers. Warwood as well, Mercedes. Some drivers who can show up a little less, of course, due to personal reasons, but still very close to the back as well. One driver I would definitely keep my eyes on is Diego Blackshark, one new driver here, who's driving, already got 14 points out of in a handful of rounds. Diego, sim driver at the top in the Williams, also has joined us for a bit fresh mid-season, who has also gained good amount of points. The Aston Martins, of course, sadly are still in a bit of a mud run. Of course, they need to gain the traction back for all this, but it's of course, as we still have about 10 more rounds, pardon me, about 5 more rounds to go. We are ever so close on getting to the end of the season and to the finale, and it's absolutely showing that the tension is rising at the front with the last race in Baku. Then to the team standings of the Constructors' Championship, it is McLaren still leading off the way with Pierre Francesco and Chris Sniper. These two are an inseparable duo, an unbeatable duo. They have been running for a long while. They have been the team to be beaten. Season 5 as well have been having won the championships. Even the Kick Sauber being close, but never getting close enough. For the Kick Sauber, we have also a new driver for the second seat. It's not Andrew anymore. It's Hernando, and it will jump around between reserves. Last time around, I believe it was like Pampo. We will see who will be tonight. And in the Alpine, that is of course a championship. Contender racing there with a teammate that's also a bit of a switching position with reserves. Of course, due to personal reasons, sometimes had to jump out. But that's besides the point. The team standing, the construction is so close to the front. Still with these many rounds to go, we still don't know who could take the front spot. Then going down the order, we have from 4th to 6th place, Red Bull, Haas, and Ferrari. And this is super close to the midfield. There's 4 points separating the teams. 2 drivers can score points for the team, and it's only 4 points separating these. It's amazing. We don't know who will be the fast of the midfield. The F1.5 grid, Red Bull currently with 1 point hanging on, but Haas and Ferrari are edging ever so close and obviously having the chance to gain more. And at the bottom of the grid, we are at the back of the grid, we have Mercedes, Williams, Aston Martin, and I think VCAP is missing from this list in 7th place. But seeing as Mercedes being super close about 30 points to the midfield. We could expect that Ferrari that recap is in the midst of there as well. Mercedes and Williams are battling for the best of the rest title. Very close there. Of course, recap is also in the battle. Sadly, Aston Martin still need to find their grip. They're actually simulating the 2026 real life car, which kudos to them. Not many people knew how it would be in F beforehand, but that's Martin. Of course, the drivers this league being cockpit racing, which means cockpit racing and no assist, cockpit cam stuck with no assist. You really need to have a bit of a grip of the game, and the Aston Martin drivers are still there to handle a bit of the pressure. And with all that, well, let's really jump to qualifying. I'm your commentator, Captain Foxy, and with me today is... We should be back.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah. It looks like it's back.
We back? We are back. Apologies for that. OBS had a little bit of a hiccup. We are back, and then can we do your bit of opening there?
Right. Take.
Let's try again.
I thought it was the cars that were crashing in Singapore, not the drive.
Well, the stream,
not
the stream is having more of a hiccup than the cars would be. That's beautiful. That's bloody. That's it. So we're back. We're back, and we should be back for good this time. Changing even the settings of the stream. We are back, and for the third time's a charm. Try again.
Hello again. What's it? Welcome to Cockpit Real Racing. I'm Joe. He's Luca. Fingers crossed that we don't lose footage, and let's get on with qualifying for Singapore. And Hanano already to the top time, 3 tenths ahead of the nearest rival. Make that. Oh no, 4 tenths ahead of the nearest rival, should I say. 1:28.2 ahead of a 1:28.6 for Chris Racing. Let's see what other laps are being done.
Chris Racing beaten Pierre Francesco here in the McLaren, and McLarens are holding strong for second and third. Hermano, the kick Sauber sometimes be showing absolute talent beautifully around street circuits. Of course, last time not being in Baku, who would have known where he would have been. This is amazing for the champion battle. Of course, the next few rounds are a few of the more technical tracks. And now kind of a jump. There's a V-Cup standing on the side of the road.
Yeah. Is Petrocam doing a lot better in qualifying than I've seen him do in previous rounds? The V-Car pulled over to the side there. Looks like he's either ran out of fuel or just getting out of people's way. As heading down though, Petrocam, who's just been pushed down to P6 as of a result of Forest Jump. Nicely done there, but who should we look at? Who's going up the order? Forest Jump invalidating his lap, sadly, but who do you think is improving a lap at the moment?
That's difficult to say. Of course, Chris Racer is also invalidating. In the back, we have in the midfield the drivers showing incredible pace increase throughout the season. Job, of course, was one driver that always to keep an eye on, being going in P6. Petrocam, last one getting a podium, of course. Who knows? Maybe keeping that high running in a track like this. Obviously, consistency is really the big key part of the race, and Petrocam showed amazing pace and consistency last time around Baku, where everyone under the pressure folded. That turn 3, and I'm gonna tell you, that turn 3 was where many drivers crumbled under the pressure, locking up, going straight on, even into the barriers, while Petrocam decided to keep a calm head. Maybe pace wasn't the full-on thing that he needs to focus on, maybe consistency. And Singapore might be a fast track, but there's still sections where if you lose concentration for a second, it's going to be game over. And of course, there are some drivers who know this, and so it's difficult to say who genuinely is one to keep an eye on, but Petrocam is one for me to keep an eye on.
For sure, as well. I think his teammate might be one to keep an eye on as well. No assists. He's always been there or thereabouts with Petrocam. He's been more behind than ahead, but he has been on similar pace to Petrocam. And if Petrocam is able to sit 7th, albeit a mere 500ths ahead of Sig Pampar, then we could see some good stuff from Noah Sis, hopefully better than his current place in 12th at the moment. Yeah, it's just all about that battle between the Saubers and the McLarens, with the Alpine and the Red Bull of Jump and Gloslow, should I say, just peeking their nose in. So we have a look here. I think there's a couple cars coming to the line. Did someone just got the order? No, they didn't. I'm being silly. Oh no, someone did go the order. It was Japina, who's just set a 1:30.6. He's what, 5 thousandths behind Ganado. Incredible stuff here in qualifying. Very close gaps here in Cockpit Real Racing with no assist, no leeway. Just flat out racing to the best of these drivers' ability. There's a yellow flag for Haas that has run out of fuel. That would be no assists. But heading through here, we have Japina. No, we have AV now. Heading through the last corner to end his outlap. Let's see what kind of lap he can set onto the board. I'll let Luca take you through that.
Well, also we have here our provisional pole position setter Hernano. Gone purple sector 1, improved in sector 2. Will sector 3 be enough to even jump more up the grid? Yes, it is! A 1:27.734. Incredibly well done by our championship contender Hernano. Third place so far, not happy with it. Obviously, good to get further. And that's the first driver off the grid who's gone into the 1:27th. And, well, hopefully looking forward to more drivers breaking that barrier and going through and pushing themselves. And that's beautiful that the Kick Sauber is the first one to do that.
Yeah, incredible lap, I must say, by Hanano. Whoa, Hanano, I don't know if Hanano has a her, but he probably will after that lap. Holy moly. As Chris and Pierre Francesco have now got to really hustle up the grid. Almost as Pierre Francesco has got by a second to get anywhere near the Saubers time. Speaking of Saubers, there goes Sig Pampa. He goes up into P5 just after the Alpine of Ganado goes half a second quicker than his previous best time. It doesn't change his position though. As going into the pits is Avo. Coming round the last corner is Pierre Francesco. Where does that put him? P2. And it puts him, what? Do the maths.
Just in second place, 7 tenths behind Hernano, and that 7 tenths was huge. That's a gap from P1 to P2. The McLarens cannot get close to Hernano, untouchable. Ooh. As that's Chris Racing going into the 27th. Incredible catch there. 1/10th, and Hernano. Of course, we know track evolution is a thing. Hernano with a worse track, still 1/10 faster than the McLaren. And with 5 minutes to go, there's about, of course, 1 more lap to go for plus an out lap. So now it's the ticking time bomb to how much you need to push, how much you need to get that lap. But before, of course, we wait for that time. One important information about the track, Singapore. Having gone through a change in 2023, the final sector now, having lost 4 corners, is now one bigger straight between turn 15 and 16 on our mini-map there, we're above the 3. That is something notable. And, of course, a circuit of 4.927 kilometers, and with the first Grand Prix in 2008. Currently, the fastest race lap is by Lewis Hamilton, 1:33.808. Of course, looking forward to seeing that time absolutely get beaten out of the wazoo in the race. But of course, with Singapore, here's the big noticeable change of the track from 2 years now to 3 years ago. This is just a big straight now, in which makes the overtaking even more, overtakes opportunities even more apparent. 3 minutes 50 left in the clock.
Yeah, I must say as well, when you're saying about Lewis Hamilton's time currently in qualifying, I know it's not obviously race specs, but every driver that has done a lap time has beaten that 1:33.8 that Lewis did back in 2019, I would like to
2025.
Say.
Lap held in 2020, okay. Last year. That's a new record. Of course, with the new track change.
Yep, okay. As did Forrest Jump just go to 4th? I think he did.
Forrest Jump?
Did someone else got
I believe
he... Not too sure.
He started a lap, but it hasn't validated.
Right. Yeah, I see. As the Red Bulls are also going around the track at the moment. I think Gloslow is invalid at the moment as well. As also Mr. Cricker might be on a lap. He's just coming out of the hairpin before turn 14, one of the most predominant areas for overtaking for this track. So let's see what Mr. Cricker does. He's currently, I mean,
He's
3 tenths
invalidated.
ahead. Oh, he's invalid. Okay.
He was 12 seconds behind.
Oh well, a bit
I think it's
a bit like the 2026, a bit like the 2026 a bit underwhelming, I must say, from Mr. Cricko. There's no one else on the lap apart from Japena, who's invalid.
I already have made that make. Poor Aston Martin, we need to give them a break.
Oh,
Noticeably also Mr.
Mate.
Crico with damage on the car, probably making a mistake. As said, Monaco, great. Singapore being a very, very tricky track to master.
Yeah. Before the race starts, can we have a minute silence for Aston Martin, because it's so bad for them at the moment. It's quite unbelievable. But what something else that's unbelievable is the fact that the top two are currently over half a second ahead of the nearest car in third, which is quite incredible. Let's see if Pierre Francesco can get any closer to that lap time. The yellow flag for a Sauber, just a bit of traffic management there, nothing to worry about. Let's see. We've got Japina 6 tenths up, heading through the chicane. Where's he gonna go?
Through the final corner. Fly through here in the qualifying and goes up into 9th place. Really a second improvement. Incredibly well done. Getting closer to the midfield of Jopa Petrocam. That's well done from the Red Bull. Currently getting closer to the team as well. We have an Alpine coming through the final sector as well. That's for, I believe, Gerardo for an outlap. Now starting their lap. So want to keep it out. I believe many cars in the back who we see are about to start. That does Adel, Lomelin, one of the new drivers as well coming in. Then that's Arvo starting their lap. Of course, the two McLarens. That's Pier Francesco first to start the lap. And at the left hand side, we see so many outlaps about to get started. It's something to keep an eye on. But obviously, this is our D-lap that counts. This is where the track is at perfect optimum. The McLaren now he's sliding the rear end. Pier Francesco trying his best to minimize the gap to his teammate, or even beat his teammate towards the first straight down out of turn 5. There's open. This is the first detection zone of the lap. Up towards the 90-degree corner of turn 7. Left-hander. Kept the track limits, and he's gone over the track limits and invalidated this lap.
Oh no! Disaster for Pier Francesco. He linked, but he went too quick into that corner, and it's cost him. Gonna have to sort himself out if he can, but he's gonna be in time for him up to P4 with 6 tenths up from what that telemetry just said. That is incredible. As Pier Francesco is gonna have to get a lap in now, because otherwise Boris Jump, Alec Lowslow, and Singh Pampor are going to jump him, and I don't think he has time for another lap.
Gerardo now to cross the final 2 corners. We might see an improvement here, and it is an improvement up into P9. First drive to finish qualifying session. The Red Bull of Japan goes to the pit lane to also end their qualifying session. Then we have Avo to cross the line up into P6, beating Singh Pampor so far. Then it's Pierre Francesco going back to the pit lane. Of course, his qualifying over with this as well. Kick Sauber next. That is not another as his teammate, Singh Pampor. Can he get his position back to our? Yes, he does. Back up to P6. Then we have a Haas followed by Aston Martin. Which one is it? That's Petrocam. I believe Petrocam crossed the line. Was too slow. And Mr. Krico behind, of course, couldn't improve as slightly as well. Stays in P14. Then it's the McLaren of Chris Racing. Also not decided to do that to end in a lap. And then V-Carb of the Rexito stays in 12th. Teammate Adelo Melin. Where will they be? Crossing the line, the pit lane. Crossing the line, stays in 15th. Then it's Hernando also deciding to end it, being comfortably where he is. Williams next to cross the line. As Jopa, no improvement. So it's the Alpine behind with no improvement. And well, this final lap seems to be so crucial that the pressure has gone over everybody. And the only driver who had a big change was Avo, who's jumped a few positions up into P7, with only Singh Pampor able to fight his position back. Allegolo's about to cross the line, of course. No improvement there as well. Stays in P5. And wow, well, that's incredible. The final lap, not many improvements. That's quite a shock.
Yeah, that's a bit anticlimactic. I must say so myself. Expecting a very different order to the one that I've got used to at the moment. So maybe the race will change that. I'm not too sure, but what that says to me though is potentially some of those drivers have used have done 2 runs on the same set of soft tires for them later in the race potentially. But yeah, Hanano on pole, the McLarens follow behind, then Forest jump, separating a late glow slow from the other Sauber and the McLaren as well. So yeah, let's see how this plays out at the start. It's going to be very interesting indeed.
So let's run you down the order of the grid. It's Hernando taking pole position, followed by the McLaren championship leader Chris Racing, then by Pier Francesco the McLaren, followed by Forest Jump P2 in the standings. Time P4 is incredible. Of course, Forest Jump has shown that quite a bit of time this season that qualifying isn't his best, but the race starts and the race itself is where he shines. Ale Galloso in the Red Bull, new driver of the season, showing absolute pressure to the top runners. Sig Pampo, then Alvo, new to today's race, Petrocam, Jopa and Gerardo do the top 10. And in the Formation Lab, we'll go a bit more into detail where they start on the side as well. And of course, the tires they start on. But now a little bit of a break before the race start.
So we'll see what happens in this race. Obviously, it's a very technical start. Shock.
Wet, full wet. It's a full wet
Oh.
Singapore race. And this changes everything. This changes everything. As Singapore is already with this third sector change a bit of a low downforce track, and with Park Ferme you can only change the front wing and but it's the tire pressures, the front wing and tire pressures. You cannot go away from your qualifying setup, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe that explains why a few drivers haven't fully pushed it to the limit. They've maybe been racing a wet setup. Is that maybe what we've been seeing?
Potentially, I mean, the Singapore, because of Sector 1 and Sector 2, it's a very high downforce track. So, but yeah, that would explain a lot of what we just saw in qualifying with the order not changing a lot. But yeah, I'm not too sure if that explains the gap between Pier Francesco and the top two. Because that's a 7/10 gap, and normally we've got used to Cockpit Real Racing having gaps that are within half a second of each other with the top four, at least if I remember correctly from the Dutch Grand Prix. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. There was a league called Formula Asphalt which is a much smaller league than this, and they recently did a race at Singapore, and their start everyone was very cautious. And everyone kind of hesitated a lot more than usual, and it does become a game of chess. Where does a gap open up, and will I have enough grip when I take that gap to actually keep the car straight, or will I go for that gap and end up in a wall? It's gonna be very tight stuff, as we learned in 2017 in real life that you can't be too aggressive at a start because, well, that ends in tragedy. We also learned in 2022, even when you settle into the race in the rain here, you end up having someone go off or someone do something that isn't according to plan. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who goes aggressive and who doesn't. And it'll be interesting as well if the track dries up or not, which is a shame that we don't have a radar to tell that or not. Also, I'm looking. There's a lot of wet tire runners. I'm not seeing many intermediate runners.
There are a few. There are a few inters. 4 inters.
Oh. There's a Red Bull stopped.
I think Ale Galloso's lost connection.
Oh no.
Can he gain it back? Hopefully. Well, talking now with information, with already a lot heard by Joseph, but, well, look at the tire situation. This is an interesting one, because now the question is, and this is now fully on the game's end, intermediates are not that much slower in the wets than for wets. And that the point is, yes, they might slide more, but you can be way more aggressive and keep the temperatures in their running state. And I believe only 4 drivers are comfortable enough to have the control over those intermediates to fully push them out. Because if you manage to run them correctly, they are a force not to be reckoned with. And Pierre Francesco is one of the drivers who said that before. And one last thing I want to add on could be that the gap between our top 2 and the rest of the grid is they've been running a dry setup in compared to the rest of the grid, being the reason why they've been that much faster in qualifying.
Potentially. I think we'll see the setups play out a lot more evidently in the race now. You'll see which drivers struggle and which drivers thrive in terms of setup. And you can tell because the ones who have gone for the low downforce setup will most likely be sliding and struggling a lot more than the people with the high downforce setup. Well, we're going to find out in the next few moments. Luca will take you through the start of this, what looks to be an incredible race here at Singapore.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. As it's go for the wet Grand Prix here, who has the best traction on the line. Hernando doesn't seem to be fully having it as Chris Racing already makes it the inside. Can he have the overlap? He's already there. He pushes the kick Sauber off. Oh, there's first jump into the wall. He's spun round. There's a few cars off the runoff area, but not too much trouble. And the only one who's caused too much trouble is a championship contender. Forrest jump is down on space. There's another car spun off in the back. Oh, there. What's going on? 5 retirements. And there's a championship contender in there as well. Oh, 6 retirements. What? Oh, dear.
Oh, my lord. I have not seen anything like that. This
red flag.
Oh.
We have the first red flag of the season.
That was obvious. But, yeah. It's not the smartest thing I've ever seen the drivers do, but in those conditions at this track, it's somewhat explainable, I must say.
That was I saw a V carb in the air. You shouldn't see cars in the air.
Yeah. I missed that. I just saw the aftermath of it all. Oh my lord!
And well, with the red flag. For anyone new to Formula 1 or sim racing, first of all, thank you for choosing Cockpit View Racing to be in the league you first watch. Where red flag means it's basically a restart of the positions where we currently stood. You have time to change your setup, you change your tires, fix the damage you received during that, and you stay. And basically, it's a start back in a grid start. And here we go, 3, 4, 5 red lights. As we try again here on this wet Singapore, this is a little medium rain. It's only intermediates, and it's already looking for that Hernando incredibly jumping everyone. Great start. That stick bumper going a bit wide in the back. Everyone's taking it a bit more cautiously, of course, after what we saw. That is definitely what is needed, and it seems to be way more smoother this time around. No more cars sideways on the track. A bit of collision there between the Haas and Allegolosio. And they run each other off. Lose two positions there. And the Haas lost the wing. And somebody reached a safety car due to the debris that the Haas has dropped.
It's very peculiar. I must what bit of wing causing a little actual safety. Oh wow, actually, to be fair, a full front wing gone. I can see the danger in that. But yeah, I saw that move from Petrocam. It was a very late dive. I don't even know if he meant to do it or not. He looks like he was just trying to not run into anyone. As it was that much of a late and almost desperate-looking dive from Petrocam, and it's cost him dearly as he now has a lot less downforce on the front of his car compared to the people around him.
And so now the virtual safety has ended and back to racing conditions, of course. We'll see how this goes. And, well, Petrocam is not going to drop a lot. First jump, Lisa session, of course, after the race. Mr. Creek was missing a bit of a wing as well. Lucien for traction. And, as I said, after the restart, the rain has seemed to have calmed down a little bit. But Gerardo is one driver who's still on the wets, and oh, those wets are not doing him any favors. Anders is into the barrier, losing a bit of wing on the way, and there's a lot of action already to start. From P7, you see the cars are going way more cautiously. That's of course Petrocam now is going off the side to go into the pit lane. Obviously, careful not to overshoot it. That's easier said than done. The Red Bulls behind are also battling. Aligoloso was not lucky in that race start, dropping heaps of positions down to P10 and now looking to maybe have a bit of a fight back. But out of the 18 drivers we had at the start, with that massive pile-up, we've now only have 13. We've lost 5 drivers.
Yeah, and although Diego getting ahead of Petrocam, although LA Goloso may be kicking himself at that restart, at least he didn't end up like Forrest Jump out. He's after C4, having so much potential, but ending his race early. No assists as well. He looked like he had a bit of race pace potential. He was consistent in that quali session, but didn't even see the 4th corner. Heading around though, we are on board with Pier Francesco. Can he make a move on Hanano in the next few laps? Not too sure. There's also the Red Bulls battling with Japina and Ale Goloslo trying to work their way around each other. Proper multi-21 action, potentially, between these two for P9 and 10. They're trying to work a way around each other and trying to stay within Mr. Cricco, who has that 3-second penalty, I assume, as Goloslo getting very close to his teammate Pinner there, who in turn gets very close to the Aston Martin. Let's see how this plays out. Heading into turn 14.
As we see, there we go, now onto the long straight. This would be a DS straight, but of course in the rain you can't use that advantage, so it is absolutely, that's Mr. Creeker over excellent exit out of that corner. And oh, has he gone deep? He has slightly overshot the corner, ruining his exit, but well, I don't want to say it, but could this be first points on the horizon for the Aston Martin? Could this be the end of the curse?
Potentially, although that penalty hanging over his shoulder, if that isn't a game fault, then that will hurt his chances in keeping that points paying position, especially with the 2 people that he's trying to keep behind him right there and ready to pounce on him. So heading around, unless the Red Bulls pick up a penalty, which would really help the Aston Martins race out, but Aston Martin and Red Bull, who used to be a joint force back in the late 2020s, now battling here late 2020s in the racing as Petrocam gets ahead of the pit-stricken Ganado, who gets off the wet tyres. That strategy gamble didn't work for him. I think he was going for something similar to Pierre Gasly in 2022 Monaco, where Gasly pit for wet tyres and ended up climbing up the order a lot compared to his rivals. But Ganado not having the same luck. Meanwhile, Francesco catching up to the Sauber, the constructors' battle raging again.
We are seeing that Pierre Francesco seems to be way more comfortable in the rain, ever so sliding AJ closer as well. Seem to be just a little bit better off. And through the final sector, into the final sector, it was about 8 times the gap, now it's down to 6, but Pernano has felt the pressure and has picked up the pace a little bit. But one thing you cannot do is over-push yourself in a situation like this. Hernando with the fastest lap of the race, but Pierre Francesco is gaining and just is using everything he has in his power to gain ever so much. But of course on this track, in these conditions, overtaking, that's a dreadful part. There aren't many overtake opportunities, and even less with a driver like Hernando in front of you, one that knows his tactics, knows his ways. You really to find that one little opening or even one little mistake he does. But interesting seeing how much curb the McLaren takes in compared to the Kick Sauber. The McLaren seems to be way more confident with the limits of the tracks. They're way closer to the walls. But also I see less traction loss to the than the Kick Sauber. Seeing how the Kick Sauber takes a sling. Do they slide a little bit?
Yeah, Pierre Francesco definitely on a higher downforce setup from what I'm seeing on this lap. Also, the track looks like it's drying up, and Pierre that up is just able to capitalize on it more quickly than the Sauber is able to, because the Sauber has to now wait longer for the cold air to get off his tires, whereas Pier Francesco, his wings are blocking that cold air from freezing his inner tires, and also the cold water from getting at the tires, and that is helping him out a lot. So we'll see what happens. Battle. Meanwhile, we have Chapina and Glowslow getting very close to each other. As Hanano takes the fastest lap. Nicely done.
Here we go. Now it's getting closer. And look at the intervals. Chris Racing is taking it. And you're right. The rain, it's starting to stop. It's getting less by the minute. And I'm definitely seeing that this could become a dry mid-stint race. And we had it before. It was Spa, where it went from wet to dry back to wet. Could this be a second time we see it? Maybe, and this is where the strategy really comes down to play. How much are the drivers willing to risk? How late or early do they jump in? Of course, once the rain stops, it's a matter of laps. When the dry tires have the upper hand, of course the drivers have the help of the in-game engineers with the question of the weather. What tires are best, but during the crossover point, the game doesn't give you that hint. The game tells you that it's just a crossover point, and both tires have ups and downs, and it comes down to the driver what they want more. But well, it's all down to what the strategy is. But in the race here, everyone has started to pick up the pace, maintain the pace a little bit. Hernando even pushing more now.
Yeah. I think someone who's going to be a little bit frustrated at the moment with Evolution is Glowslow, who's stuck behind his teammate in the dirty air. He's just not able to make any gains from this at all. And although Francesco, yeah, he is being held up by Hanano. Hanano is the leader, and Pierre kind of wants to be close to Hanano, whereas the Red Bull of Glowslow behind his own teammate. He needs to get ahead and get down the road, get after Mr. Kricko, and he's just not able to with that Red Bull, with his own teammate in the way, as coming out of that corner. They are in the points, and they will secure 3 points, which is going to be good for them, but it won't be any good if they could have 7th or 8th or even 6th later on in the race. But Glowslow, the quicker man, just not able to make amends, but his teammate now pulling away in the high downforce sections of the final sector. So that could mean Glowslow on a lower downforce, drier setup might be struggling in the same way Hanano is.
That is a very well observation here. Pier Francesco gains in Sector 1, where it's pretty much straight on. But now here in Sector 2, the gap slowly increases again. Up to even 9/10 here. That is when it kicks over. As I say, Pier Francesco does the best sector there yet for himself. And now comes where the McLaren with that setup comes through and let happen. That was only 2/10 loss in the happen with just how much the high downforce of the kick-summer changes. And basically there are advantages in Sector 1, but then Sector 2 the McLaren lose, but then Sector 3 it's again a bit of an advantage. Well, it really comes down to how much are you willing to push. As of course there's always time to be gained, but is it really worth it to risk it, or do you want to, or it comes down to maybe later on. So of course the rain is coming ever so slightly per lap. Once the strategy comes down, what will Pier Francesco do as he does the fastest lap of the race?
Yeah, I think you asked the question, Pierre responded. He's just not able to, because the dirty air is so effective in especially this game. Pierre just struggling to get close. When you get within half a second of a car in this game, the physics of it feels like when you get two magnets and you put like two south sides and you try and stick them together, the way it just repels, and it's a very similar way to how this game works in a more discreet manner, as you'll see Hanano get within half a second and then just suddenly either lose the car or just drop back with understeer or something of the sort. Japina is disconnected from the session. That could be a blessing in disguise for LA Glowslow.
Unfortunate, another disconnect of
Wow.
the drivers. That's happened to Allegalo at the formation lap, but now gains it back by the teammate. And wow, the AI is absolutely not having a good time. How much are they even on the accelerator? They're not accelerating at all. That causes a yellow flag even. And hopefully JP managed to rejoin soon and fast, but of course this is a valuable time lost now. And well, you're right with Pier Francesco and with the magnets a really good example. As of course Pier Francesco gets closer, then the 30 it just smacks you. It's just like a slap to the car. It just makes the car understeer and even unbalanced, makes you even lose a rear end. And when that happens, the slap with Pier Francesco is close enough to feel it. He loses the time, and even Chris Racing takes the advantage of that. And is gaining as well a little bit. Chris Racing is edging closer. He was up there in P2. After a suboptimal start, he's dropped out to P3 and, well, he's catching here and there, but he's struggling to fully show what he had shown the entire season. This doesn't seem to be his fullest potential, or maybe just Singapore isn't much of his track, even though in the interviews last week, he specifically said he can't wait for Singapore. He's looking forward. A technical track like this is where usually he has the most fun and shows his most potential. But it seems that Pure Francesco and Hernando are just that level above him, that show that there's more fun in these two here. And it looks to me that Hernando has been a slight mistake through there. And Chris Racing gaining 4 attempts. Look, maybe he just needed a little bit to get into these gains. 7 attempts in there. What has happened?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think, and I know he's probably just suffering from his own setup in his own way. He's not pulling away, but he is staying ahead, which is more than you can ask of him, to be honest. So, you know, fair play to Hernando for standing his ground and not making mistakes the air or anything. There's a yellow flag. I'm not too sure as to why, but this is, I think, as heading around the last corner. Yeah, Hernando really managing that gap very well. Managing that gap with Chris up, and now Chris down on his teammate, and this could be a bit of a replica situation to what the Red Bulls had with Pier Francesco dropping back, and now Chris gaining on his own teammate. Let's hope the McLarens don't hold each other up in needless on, but really managing the gap well. And it's very similar to 24 bar where Kevin Magnus said for the V-Card drive struggling with team orders to try and get past Magnussen, and ultimately none of them got ahead of the Haas driver. And it's a very similar situation at the grid right now, with Hernando able to manage the gap and Chris now trying to close in on his own teammate and trying to see if win. But also Francesco doesn't want the win, but he also doesn't want to hold a team. It's a very tricky situation for Francesco to be in. But for both McLaren and Hernando, being able to let that scene happen and run with it, it's going to be, it plays out. But Globo still not able to make the Aston Martins. There's a yellow for Williams, but
I do have
penalty for Mr. Cricko. So that should mean Galos is ahead, as well as not Petrocam. Petrocam's too far back to capitalise on the penalty. As Chris takes another fastest lap. What's going on with?
I do apologize for Joseph. His mic is a little bit laggy. I'm gonna have to. Some words aren't coming through well. Hopefully that issue picked up could be end on the communication system. One thing I'm gonna have to add on what Chris is doing, what I'm not seeing the cars in front are doing, is Chris goes off the racing line to get some water back onto the tires to keep the temperatures down. The cars in front are following the racing line as much as they can, while Chris Racing swerves off when possible. As I just saw at the start of the lap, at the lap, for example, he's gone off the racing line to grab some more water, and now that he's closest here, he doesn't do it anymore. But that was a smart strategy. Of course, the temperatures play a big role still in a wet race like this, where the intermediates are prone to overheat if you drive on a drier line for too long. And with slides like these that we just saw the McLaren do, there we go, goes off again the racing line to pick up the wet part of the track again. That's only he did it off the top 3, and maybe that's a little bit secret that he's giving him those extra tenths to the cars in front. There we go, he does it again, and that's something to keep an eye on. The cars in front are not even thinking on doing that.
Yeah. So I can't fix the lag thing, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna head off. Oh, Diego out in the pit lane. That is such a shame for him. And yeah, so yeah, he won't be the only one out of this. After do one last observation, I'm just gonna head off, because then you can have high quality commentary from Luca instead of laggy commentary from me. But one last observation is Chris doing that. It's not just cooling his tires down, but his brakes, his engine, the dirty air as well. It's less of an issue when you're able to cool the car down. You see it a lot from drivers, especially in wet to dry races. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna watch on but not commentate. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
As goodbye to Joseph there. Unfortunate situation. Well, it's just me now, Captain Fox, also known as Luke, as we heard, back on in the commentary box. And well, now it's down to me to show this action here. From first to third, it's a 1.8 second gap, and it's very close together. That was just a gap that was between the McLarens just a few laps ago, as we're about to even the few laps cross the halfway mark of the race. And Chris Racing, he is gaining ever so slightly. He is showing amazing pace, and that pace is what he might need if he manages to sneak himself past here between this. Is Gerardo gets a 3-second time for multiple warnings and goes to the pit lane, I believe, for the first stop. Let's have a look what that is for. What tires he will go to. A new set of intermediates. Since he also changed front wing, he is changing the front wing. That explains the early stop. Intermediate tires can hold on for quite a while. And here we go. And that's a rep of J Pinner. Oh, getting the way of Chris Racing. And I'm seeing on my left hand side of my second monitor replay of the race start. Let me see if I can add a comment on what has happened there. So we started out with a V-Cup sliding off and then getting collected by 2, then 3 cars flipping over as well. That's something I just saw, but it's caught my eye. And there was then 6 cars out of the race. Of course, sadly I cannot show the replay again, but due to the broadcast repeat, I just saw what has happened. That was basically what's happened. We have a new car, but out of the pit, into the pit lane. That was Avo coming out of the pit lane. I believe now we're getting closer to the pit stop window. Alagaloz, I believe, has managed to get back into the driver's seat, managed to get back. I believe those inputs don't seem human to me, and I don't think he is human, Mr. Kriko. It's just starting to show a little bit of pressure to the Red Bull car. But back to the top cars, so the top teams. These top 3 drivers, they are now a second separated each other. That's nothing at all. And there are still raindrops coming from the sky, so it's still slightly raining, but it is absolutely way less than it was at the start of this restart. And the intermediates definitely will start to show a little bit of struggling. Chris Racing has stopped going off the racing line to cool, as we heard by Joseph, not only the tires but the engine and brakes and everything that comes with it. And so the McLaren decided to now follow the train, see how that goes. We have a new set yellow flag. That's Gerardo again. He spun on the main straight. He spins. Can he bring it back? Yes, he does. But he's missing a front wing. And that is unfortunate. And it is a virtual safety car. And virtual safety has come out. Virtual safety has come out to the race due to the debris dropped by the Alpine. And we have an overtake. That is the Tinexito going into the pit lane. And the virtual safety car, as you see on the minimap, full yellow all across the drivers need to keep a belter up. And there we go. Oh, there's Mr. Kiko getting a drive-through penalty for speeding on the virtual safety car. And the hopes for points seems to slowly disappear. Of course, Aston Martin entering this race, round 18, with sadly no points under their name. Me and Josh already have made the connection to real life 2026 Aston Martin, but wow, that's kind of unfortunate when Mr. Q takes the drive-through is out in P10, and maybe, and just maybe, the hope for points is still alive, even if it's that one singular point. That's the important part. Here we go now, the McLarens. That's the first McLaren Chris racing into pit lane. They were very close when that happened. So, could the undercut come into the hands of the championship leader Chris Racing, or is it going down to Pier Francesco, who stays out longer? Of course, the drop in the tires on the intermediates is quite a long one. We have a Jackson driver leaving. That's Williams' car. DNF. What has happened? They've so in a minute, I believe they're still driving. Having left, there we go. Now Chris comes down, sick bumper follows back in. And while that happens, Pier Francesco goes purple sector 1, which I believe shows that the pace is still there. And it stopped rain. It's not stopped rain, it was the angle of the camera, but it's the rain is as little as possible now. It's down to nothing. And Chris Racing has gone to a new set of intermediates. I believe so. That's correct. But Pier Francesco is not losing any time. And he's even gaining to the leader as well. So, for our leader, that's Ali Galoza causing a yellow flag. I believe. No, it's Jay Pinner causing a yellow flag. The Yari car still only half of the accelerator on the exit of the corner. So that is them causing a yellow flag every time now on that first back straight. Going now through the final sectors, the leaders of the race. Is one of them going to take the bullet and go into the pit lane? Yes, that's Chris. Pier Francesco going into the pits to minimize the undercut from his teammate. Goes in now. Hernando goes fastest up of the race as well. So it really comes down to that change of tires to an absolute needed situation. There we go, good start there. And where will he come out to his teammate? It's close. It's going to be very, very close. Back to his teammate. Back to Chris. Onto the main straight. Now he goes on the minimap, keeping an eye out. And it's going to be coming side by side out for the turn 1. And it's Chris Racing taking the undercut to his teammate for 1.5 seconds. It's not that close. And that's enough for Chris to even jump Hernando if he pits this lap. And that shows that the undercut is absolutely needed. The undercut is a strategy to go. And if it stays raining this race, this was the only stop needed. We have come past the halfway mark of the race. And the tires, of course, as the car gets lighter as well, tire wear becomes less of an issue. Here we are now. Look at also the two McLarens, and now that Chris Racing isn't in the dirtier of his teammate. It's all out racing now, all out pushing for a championship leader. And if he maybe can put out that that P2 into a win, that would be an amazing for his championship title. Obviously, his closest championship contender being involved in a lap 1 pileup, which was a huge heartache for the Alpine driver first jump. But the top 3 seem to have settled down a little bit. Hernando stays out still. He says it's not time yet. but I believe he's missing out on the opportunity. There's Mr. Kriko in the barrier. Comes out, losing with a bit of damage. Oh, and he's on the red again. Chris Racing 141. That's about a free, that's a big improvement to what Hernando has done. Will Mr. Kriko go to the pit lane to fix the damage that he's gotten, or will he live with it? Of course, if he stays out, no, he's not staying out. He could have still had the hope. So, points, he drifts into the pit lane. He's on medium compounds. I didn't see that. He's on dries. He has taken a bit of a gamble, which has definitely not worked out. It's still raining, and this game is unforgiving in that sense. He tried to pit. He tried to go for the dry compounds. It did not work out. And he now comes out in either P12 or even behind the Alpine. The Alpine is closing in on him, and he goes past Mr. Kiko down slightly in last place after a gambling call, which a gamble which didn't really benefit him, sadly. What's fully benefiting right now, one of the drivers is Chris Racing. He's gained a lap a second this lap. He's gone purple as well. Those fresh tires are an absolute game changer there. Of course, J Pinner going for the back straight. Cause a yellow flag. Of course, he doesn't fully go full in the throttle. Causing that yellow flag. And now, crossing the line for lap 19 for the McLaren. It is a gap of 23.2. Let's have a look at the end of the lap how big that gap changes. As already through sector 1, he's gained 2/10. 2/10 gained, and he's already in the 2022 mark. Importantly, it's very interesting to also say that the stop loses you about 24 to 25 seconds, depending on how well you take that pit entry. And Chris Racer is absolutely in that window. And with that, PFS as well is taking a super advantage out of that. And Hernando's absolute master drive might be ruined by a bit of a disastrous strategy call. And he's staying out, of course. There is the rule, and this is an important rule, which I think was what happening here. In wet conditions, you don't have a mandatory pit stop. Meaning, if the intermediate tires can make it till the end, you are allowed to drive till the end. As I said, Hernando takes the gamble and goes to the pit lane to slow down. Nicely not to go over the speed limit. And now let's look. Stand the McLarens. Where are they going to come out? Will it be a McLaren 1-2 out once Hernando finishes the stop? Hernando is now stopping. And it is absolutely not even close. Here he comes out, and the two McLarens are following now. With the fastest lap of the race, and there he is. Hernando has lost his lead of the race due to a late strategy call. Lap 20 out of 31. That is very late in this race. He's out about even more than 3 seconds behind Pierfrancesco. Pierfrancesco, on the other hand, he is absolutely taking the toll. He's showing what he's got. And he's gaining so much more. Chris Racing could be feeling the pressure now at this point. So you're half a second gap between these two. And that one lap fresher tire that Pierfrancesco got. Is that what could help him take the advantage to his teammate? Of course, now comes back to the subject that Singapore is a bit of a difficult track to overtake around. And now, between the McLarens, papaya routes do not exist in this. It is all flat out racing. But it seems that Chris Racing, just with a better exit, using more battery. I think this is where Pierfrancesco is on the battery recovery mode. He's on 80% while up in front, 60% and still using Pardon me, wrong camera there. So now let's see how this will play out. And doing this, Hernandez getting a second already. Hernandez already a second gaining to the pack here. And he's one car to not forget to erase out of the equation. As we're now with about 11 laps to go in this race. That's a big mistake by Chris Racing. Absolute huge mistake that cost him that little cushion that he had. And if Pierre just gets a super exit of here, we could see the McLaren's battled out into the turn 5 left-hander. And he's 3 times, but it's not enough. And oh, the McLaren's even nearly collide there. Pierre just is way more confident on the brakes, nearly going to the back end of Chris. Chris is showing that maybe the key is to just be a bit slow, be a bit of a brick wall. But he is very slow. He's slowing down Pierre Francesco into Hernando. And if that's maybe the call, what he's doing. But Chris seems to be struggling. He's not driving as fast as he was in the first stint. It's his saving to battery, maybe. Pardon me, fuel. Let's have a look at our leader, what that's not too much of an issue. And now again, the top 3 are separated by, pardon me, by by less than a second. Highest gap, 6/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second. And well, there we go. Pierre Francesco could have an absolute chance here out of the final corner to have a slingshot effect into turn 1. Hernando fast up of the race, of course on the freshest tire. He has that advantage, but Chris is struggling into the corner entries. He's understeering. That entry understeer is ruining his mid-corner speed, but he gets it back on the exit. That low downforce setup is absolutely coming crucial here, as that is something that holds him off. But here we go, let's look at Hernando. To the McLaren of Pierre Francesco. Hernando is just on the rear end, already looking for advantages, looking for openings. As we're now going through the middle part of the track, the middle sector. Through the twisting roads of Singapore. Pierre Francesco is losing out a little bit to his teammate. Now with the pressure from behind as well. It's caution sector 1, of course, that's still Japina. Not managing to join back into the session. And so here we go now onto the second back straight, second DS zone of the track. This track has 4 DS zones. One of a few handful of tracks that has it. And now there's a half a second gap to the trio here. They are going hand in hand through the final sector of the track. And Chris is showing that maybe it is that straight edge speed that is fully coming into his advantage here in the race. Going now towards turn 1. Hernando again closest to Pierre Francesco. This time Chris Racing took the corner of turn 1 better than before. Hernando is maybe looking for a corner exit strategy, going wide into the engine and then hitting that, getting the traction down. And well, again, it's a half a second between all the cars. Here comes now the advantage of Chris Racing, slow down for setup. Taking again the wet line to, I believe, cool down the tires, the engine and everything that comes to it. And these two are in tandem driving here. Absolutely crazy. Nothing separating. I also see Sick Bumper and Jopa are starting to close in together as well. What's there with 3 seconds penalty on Sick Bumper's lane? That could become an issue. So now we're here. We have a lapped car up in front. Last time round, the Red Bull caused issues for Chris. Chris needs to be careful not to get troubles again. Towards the right hand, and the Red Bull lets by and nearly goes into Pierre Francesco. What was that? That is definitely what where the stewards might have a look into. And Pierre Francesco having to take avoiding measures, loses about half a second to Chris. And now he doesn't have the slipstream help from his teammate to defend from Hernano. And Hernano's chances on gaining that P2 has increased exponentially now. Towards turn 1 we go. 24 to 31 laps. It's getting closer to the end part of the race. That's again Mr. Krieger with a mistake. In turn 6. Unfortunate there. Oh dear, spinning. What has happened to Mr. Krieger? Struggling in the braking zones. There's also a car stop. That's Gerardo. Mr. Krieger has picked up his drive again, so maybe overheated or had issues with the rear brakes. Having them fixed again. Now it's down to 9 times per to the cars. Perfect, just gaining a bit again. Yeah, flag this time is Gerardo letting by the group, and now having to pick up drive again. 8 times, 7 times. These drivers are going in tandem. They are hand in hand. It's like a chain is between them, a rope. And the gap that Pierre Francesco has to Chris Racing is the gap that Hernandez has to Pierre Francesco. It's like only a difference of maybe a tenth at most. These guys are, if on a top-down view, would have the same gap. It's incredible. That's how close this battle on the front here is. And Hernano's late pit stop call, maybe wanting to go have the fresher tires. It's not coming into his power now. Pierre Francesco fastest lap of the race, 140.5. The track is getting better, 1 second again from the last fastest lap. And it's still rain coming down to the track, and with only 7 laps remaining in this race, I don't believe it's getting enough to a point where even a drive might be considered. And that's Gerardo off into the track. That's on the hard compounds. Again, someone who's tried to take the gamble onto the dry compound and it didn't work out. It's still raining down in the Singapore roads. But some drivers hoping that maybe the gamble call to the dry compounds could work. It didn't work for Mr. Krieger. It doesn't work for Gerardo. Oh, he's struggling. Oh, need to be careful not to retire the car due to an issue. Due to a spin. Scraping the walls. Out on the exit now. Coming just in front of the Red Bull in. Careful with the speed in the pit says slow down well enough. And have to slow and have to repair the damage. Back in the top battle here. The top 3. Again, 1/10 is the difference between the gaps between the 3. 5 times to another from Pierre Francesco and 6 times from Pierre Francesco to Chris. This is, I think, now the biggest difference that we had so far. And it immediately gets nulled. This is incredible. I cannot tell you who... Oh, there. Gerardo crossing the pit exit line. Oh, there's a blue flags up in front. Chris Racing got blocked heaps. Immensely. But it didn't change anything on the outcome. They're all head to toe. Close together. Rear diffuser to front wing. Even touching nearly. But here we go. The kick Sauber has a chance, has an opportunity to make himself visible, but didn't manage to take it. This is the closest they've been in the top 3. They're driving in tandem. It's absolutely beautiful what we're seeing here. And well, the rain has gone to the minimum. It's not even rain. It stopped. The rain has stopped. In about 1 lap time, there's no more rain on the track, and the final laps of the race will be in a drying track. And that's a shock. That's a turn of surprise at the end of the race. It's incredible. The intermediates will not be the fastest tire for the end of the race, as the track will dry out quite fast. Will maybe one of the top 3 drivers take that gamble, take the bullet and go into the pit lane for a dry compound? None of them are taking it now. It stopped raining. Yeah, it's no more rain, and knowing how quickly the track can dry, and about 1 lap time, the track will not have any water left on it. And if Gerardo would have taken the hard compound 1 lap later, he would have now had the advantage. But due to the stop, I believe the first car to be on the dry compounds is Jay Pitter, the AI car. Gerardo now changes front wing again. Any other cars on dry compounds? Yes, it's Jopa as well, who's taking who's one of the top, midfield drives with dry compounds. And well, what are the leaders gonna do? What are they gonna do? The intermediates are quickly going to become a bad tire to be on. And at the end of this lap, one of the McLarens, if everyone goes to pit at the same time, one of the McLarens will have the disadvantage. Of course, I will be held up in the pit lane. Oh, so I see in the back, Mr. Kriko sliding all over the place. And oh, there's another nearly with the scent. That's a bad corner exit by Pierre Francesco. Hernando could have to overrun into the final 2 corners, into the final chicane. There's nothing in between them anymore. The kick tried it, but couldn't make it. Is anyone taking the jump? Is anyone going in? No. No one is going in the top 3. 4 laps to go in the Singapore Grand Prix. How are they driving? What's the drivability in the intermediates? They are definitely overheating quickly. By the corner, I see graining already starting on the right-hand side of Pierre Francesco's car. Of course, the intermediates can last a bit on dry conditions, but once, of course, once the overheating becomes big, there's no more coming back from it. As well, there's still no one taking a bullet, of course. The question is, 4 laps, does it make sense? In the hindsight, maybe not. But we don't know how bad the intermediate tires will be once there's absolutely no more water on the track. It could genuinely become that the car will be undrivable. But they are willing to take the gamble. They're willing to take that. And so now, again to the final sector, we have a yellow flag. DS enabled. The DS is enabled. Why does the McLaren in the lead have DS? Chris Racing got the gift from the racing gods that he had the DS available for the straight there. For some reason, but this time again, no. So now, Chris Racing will absolutely be a sitting duck. Now the drag reduction system help will come in. Those are like 50 extra horsepower that can help you immensely. One that Chris Racing doesn't have. Gerardo retires from the race. Nothing. Safety car. It's too close to the end for a safety car. And now Chris is a sitting duck with 3 laps to go. The intermediates absolutely not enjoying these conditions. They're sliding. But it could just be enough. That's a bit deep by Chris Racing. There's no gap between. 3 laps to go. We now go into the Singapore sling. Absolutely no. We cannot say. Say who will be the leader. Who will take it. Who will take that front. That's 140.0 by Jopa as the fastest lap now on intermediate on the dry compounds. That is, it's not actually a huge jump from what the intermediate drivers did. But, well, once it's becoming more and more apparent that the overheating issues are getting a problem, Chris Racing slides on every corner exit towards his final chicane. Drifting through the end there is Chris. Holding on by tooth and nail on grip. There is none left in the intermediates. They'll be coming down to slick tires. But Chris Racing is placing the car just right to not let this teammate by, nor Hernando. There's a penultimate lap now. And PFA just needs to find a way through. There's no more opportunities left to come. 3/10 of the gap now on the X. Of course, a low downforce setup by Chris Racing. That's the saving grace he has so far. But whoa, there's a kick somewhere again. He makes himself aggressively visible, but it's not enough to catch PFA Chisco off guard. And well, they are sliding. They're driving quite slow through these corners. Chris Racing gains a bit of time through there. Again, the Singapore staying for the penultimate time towards the hairpin. It's quite tough to say, but this time PFA Chisco could be a bit under pressure here. But all negates as that little DS zone helped him heaps to gain as a hard spun round of Petrocam. But recovers again. And well, into the final chicane one more time. Entering the last lap of the race with Chris Racing incredibly in the lead. PF Francesco in P2 and Hernando a pole sitter. And the intermediates go for the fastest lap of the race, 1:39.9. The intermediates, even though the traction seems to be running low, they're still running very fast on this dry track. There's no more water left at all. You cannot be a Ferrari engineer and say it must be the water. There is no more water. Pierre Francesco is too far though for an opportunity on the end of the straight. Hernando could maybe have a look, but he's just about too far as well for the final lap. Entering sector 2 for the final time. Chris just needs to keep his concentration for one more lap. Pierre Francesco needs to look that he doesn't give an opening to Hernando behind. Towards the Singapore sling for the final time. The intermediates are hanging on very well on this dry conditions. Really happen. One more time. That is Pierre Francesco going defensive for there. Hernando had a good run but couldn't fully keep it. But now 3 attempts. 2 attempts. Hernando makes it visible. Breaks as late as he can to minimize the gap. This is it. This could be the time Hernando could regain P2. But he just doesn't have the speed. And entering the chicane for the final time, it's Chris Racing who will come out victorious in this battle. Started P2 and he wins in Singapore. Hernando couldn't make it past Pivaches, and Pivaches gets P2 as well. It's a 1-2 for the McLarens. The McLarens are untouchable this season. This will increase the gap on the championship quite heaps of time. But the Stewards are going to have a big look at the incident which caused the red flag, the first one of the season. A rare sight to be seen, but of course, those full wet conditions have ruined it. Avo, after a quiet race, gets P4, very well deserved, very well done. Sig Pampo in P5. Well done as well to him to finish there. It is Pami Jopa in P6 will cross the line. I apologize if you haven't seen these drivers a lot in this race. That top battle was just too much to keep an attention away. Jopa cross the line for P6, respectfully well done there. And then, of course, the time has run up. Of course, the finishing order will be as we've seen it on the tower. We will run through it once we see the ending, the timetable. Here we go. Here's Chris celebrating an absolutely deserved race win with an absolutely incredible strategy call for the undercut, which undercuts his teammate, but Hernano's late call was just not enough. And so, well, the McLarens deserve this one too, but Hernano absolutely deserves that podium as well. Here we go. Race winner, Chris Racing. Fastest lap goes to Joper. Drive today, Mr. Kriko. Starting in last place, getting the first points off for Aston Martin. Incredibly well done. And it's Pierre Francesco with the cleanest driver. Of course, Mr. also gets fastest drive today. Chris Racing. Pierre Francesco P2, Hernando P3, Avo P4, Sig Pump with Ash, Joper P6, Rexito P7, Petrican P8, Allegros P8, and Mr. Kriko for the Aston Martin. The first point of the season, one to be celebrated for. He can absolutely be happy with his result. He has survived the tremendous conditions Singapore has given us. And what an end to the race. No comment, it's been amazing. It's been an absolutely beautiful end of the race. And of course, our viewers, ladies and gentlemen, watching, it's not over yet. We will have the interviews of our top 3 drivers coming in after this. So, we will definitely have obviously the 2 McLarens and Hernando and the kick Sauber to take it. So here we go. I believe we had a bit of a join as well by someone, an old ex commentator here. Well, and that's a race so far over, and it is Chris Sniper.
Hi, Foxy. Ciao.
Ciao, Chris. Our first of P1. Then it's Pierre Francesco P2, and of course we're one more driver here. We got him under the top 3. And so let's go this interview C3. You guys must be comfortable in here now. You guys are all have been in here, I believe, the most amount of times. Any thoughts on sharing a podium one more time?
Well, I could have done a bit more in the season, but yeah, it's great to be here.
Well, so let's start the interviews with a P3 runner-up, Hernando. Pole position, sadly couldn't convert it to a win. What were your thoughts this race?
Vale.
Hernando?
Vale. Okay,
Yeah.
I think maybe he's not at the moment.
Well, Hernando seems to be a little off bike, so let's jump over to run-up P2. Pierre Francesco started P3, finished P2 with an exceptionally well drive. What were your thoughts throughout the race?
Yeah, thanks. I guess all the interviews with me on the podium to start with my words. So here you go. Okay. I could have done better in qualifying. I didn't nail the perfect lap. I don't want to say I could have gotten pole position. I was too far behind, sadly. And so in the race, I decided to try an alternative strategy, but the red flag really actually ruined everything. So I couldn't never tested what could have been. And the rest of the race, I overtook my teammate at the race start of the grid, and I just stayed behind their nanos. I wanted to save tires for the temperatures especially, because inters are very tough to deal with on this game. And yeah, the uh, Chris Racing undercut actually tricked us both because he was third and he won, but he's my teammate, so I'm happy with for him. I was also managing the last part of the race so that we could take this 1-2 home. So we decided to not switch positions like we had initially planned. And yeah, that's it. A good race. Still off the win. I hope that will come soon, but it was a good race, good pace, good management. Yeah, that's it. Congratulations, everyone, and these are my words.
Well, I absolutely said everything that I wanted to know. Beautifully well explained. Kept you calm as well this race. That the red flag being was also a bit of a interesting subject. The first red flag of the season. First time we saw that happening. What were your
Well,
thoughts during that red flag?
there was one in Silverstone. Silverstone had two.
Oh,
Yeah.
pardon me. Second red flag of the season. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts through that red flag as it started at the very start of the race?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I saw a lot of retirements at the back. I believe also Forrest Jump retired in that yeah, in that instant. But yeah, I don't know what happened.
So I can quickly recap on what happened. Was a V cup spinning in the back, being collected by 3 cars, which made it even go airborne, and then of course a pile up, catching many drivers off guard, not slowing down fast enough. With Forrest Jump sadly spinning out of lap 1, being in the back as it happened. More unfortunate, sadly, could have happened, but well, 6 retirement out of lap 3. That was a crazy crash. I mean, lucky that, of course, from the midfield drivers escape, but unfortunate that the 6 drivers with obviously a championship contender being involved there as well. So
Third, Nate.
now, well, we heard the beautiful words from Pier Francesco, who will definitely get closer to the leading pack here in the championship. And let's try again, Hernano. Welcome. Are you back now?
Yeah. Yeah. Some connection problem. I have cell phone connection tonight, so it's a little bit unstable.
Understood. So, Hernano, P3, you have gotten the pole position. What happened? Why didn't you not manage to convert it to a win?
Yeah, basically, I had a good pace, unexpected good pace because I had very low practice this week. I tried to save one pit. I go along the free stint because I believe comes the dry condition, and I and Chris and Pierfrancesco pit early, and then me and overtake me in the pit. So I come back on day, but it's impossible to overtake in this track. I had better place than Per Francesco and Chris, but try in some corners, but the risk was too high, and I prefer to take a third position.
Understood. Well, yeah, that late strategy call was just a bit in the tough. Of course, it was difficult to predict, but well, you still managed to keep up that freeway battle between you all was amazing, and well, kept me on my toes till the end. You tried, of course, with the fresher tires. You tried everything you couldn't get past. Well, Beautiful, beautiful racing today in Singapore by you as well. Unfortunate with the
Thank you.
strategy, that is something that is always a bit of a gamble towards that. So that was Hernando in the kick summer finishing third. We also heard Pierre Fischer and McLaren in P2. And well, of course, the best comes to last. Chris, Racing Championship leader, winning one more time. How does that feel?
Yeah, Foxy, it feels nice. Even though I think tonight I couldn't keep up with the pace of the other two here. But yeah, it feels great. At least for the strategy. At least for the strategy, I had a better call. At least for that, so I'm happy. Because actually, I saw that in this track it was actually difficult to overtake. So I tried to stay back, trying to manage the tires. Until I saw it was useless because I had even more tire degradation than my teammate. And then I decided to just pit earlier than them, trying to undercut. And it actually worked. I had a slower pace, but trying to overtake here is obviously with also the wet condition. It's actually really difficult. I had a bit of a moment when there was the DRS, but I tried to have the best exit on the corners before the DRS, and that actually worked. Unfortunately, no, luckily, my tires at 87% did not go boom, you know.
Che
So
culo.
it's okay. I'm
Oh
happy.
my god.
Che culo.
Okay, cool.
Che
So,
culo.
so for non-Italian viewers right now, Hernando just basically said, "What luck?" in Italian. Best to say, of course, it is a bit of an explicit word, but basically meaning, man, very lucky. Well, absolutely beautiful. Well, of course, luck. Rating is, and I cannot stress this enough in the commentary, in the interviews. Rating is genuinely, you can be the best out there. If your luck is just missing that day, it's unfortunate. You can absolutely try your hardest, not be lucky at all, or you could even have luck by your side, not be the fastest, and still, as Chris showed, still come up on top. It absolutely racing. You need to have a balance, and the one variable that you cannot decide is luck, and so racing is always a mixed bag. And well, Chris absolutely a spectacular show on. If one has a little less and one on one side and on the other side more, say as you said, your pace was a bit less, but then the luck came in more. That is exactly how racing also goes. You don't have to be the
It's the
fastest to be the
strategy.
best.
It's a strategy, not luck. It's a strategy.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
well, to be honest, absolutely as well. It was your call to go in. Well, comes all that
Everything
as well.
Everything
Let's
that
go.
track is useful for racing. Let's say like that. Everything.
Right. And so, any final words by any of you three? As I will definitely be able, I'm definitely looking forward to see you in here in the commentary, in the interview room quite more often. Any final words by you three?
I hope my prediction will be true.
weekend.
See you next week.
What track next week? I don't know.
Next week we
Next
have.
week.
Let's have a quick look here. We have
Austin.
pardon me, Austin, America, with a sprint race.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
It's going to be a bit of a longer race next week. We will also have a look on commentators who will be on for next week. But, well, one last thing on my side. McLaren, with this dominant drive, are absolutely out of the park for the constructors. And coming to the end of the season, it is absolutely interesting to see how it plays out in the Drivers' Championship. Of course, Chris, you have been absolutely amazing taking the lead Let's see if the pressure now comes down, if you can keep it for the final rounds of the season. That's something to absolutely look forward to. And from my side, thank you to all the drivers. Thank you for the tops, for the podium sitters. You guys have been amazing. An absolute crazy show you've shown us tonight. And have a great evening. Have a great rest of the weekend. Good morning, good day, good evening, good night to wherever you are. Also to the
Have
ladies.
a good FP3 and qualify.
Oh, absolutely. Go to bed early, everyone. For everyone in the Europe. 4 a.m. is probably when you should wake up throughout the weekend, as that's when the Australian Grand Prix will be. But to all the ladies and gentlemen watching, have a good morning, good day, good evening, good night to wherever you are, and take care, stay healthy. Goodbye.
Sveglia Italia. Goodbye.